That's good.
Oh, that's a wrap?
Right.
Anyways, wait, I got one for Smo. It ain't a wrap, dog. Relax. UFC. What's up, Smo?
I gotta ask you this. You stopped the guy with the 8-fight win streak. Do you feel like Sean Strickland did enough to get the next title shot in the middleweight division?
Yes, and I don't think this thing works. I'll say that. Yes, judges. Listen, you don't want to see any of these fight that little Chechen war. You want to see the last American in the sport go that guy up, and that's what's going to happen.
What did Sean Strickland do to beat Khamzat Chimaev in
Anything I want, dude. Anything I want, dude. I'll bring a bell. You'll get distracted. Anything I feel like we need to bring the bell back to America. We need a real fucking American to represent this.
So a fight with Khamzat at some point somewhere in the world over fighting at the White House?
Well, first of all, guys, I'm not leaving this country ever again. I'm an American. I'm not leaving. I'm not traveling. I'm not vacationing. I'm going to die on this soil. So it will be in America. Where the that is, I'll be there. What do you want next, Sean? I don't know, man. Chimaev finally gets off the bench, dude. I'd like a piece of that little Chechen. But you never know with him, bro. You never know that guy, but that's what I want. I kind of thought you just started going a little wild. And like, no part of you slowing down. But to me, you're getting a little bit more sloppy. But like, no part of this man was slowing down, dude.
We'll talk to you just a second, Fluffy. Opposite of that win. Fluffy just won 8 in a row. You stopped it. You're a former champion. What do you want next, Sean?
Alright, so picture this. There wasn't a single insult thrown, not one headline-grabbing stunt, no circus before the storm. And somehow, that made it worse. The silence felt deliberate, heavy, like both men knew something the rest of us didn't. Sean Strickland had vanished behind closed doors, grinding through brutal sessions, sharpening every edge of his game for a collision everyone sensed was coming. Across from him stood Anthony Hernandez, calm, unreadable, carrying the kind of pressure that doesn't need noise to announce itself. The entire MMA world could feel it. This wasn't routine. This wasn't filler. From casual fans to sleepless analysts, there was a shared, uneasy certainty that something career-altering was about to unfold. Predictions fractured the expert panels. Some swore Strickland's suffocating forward march would finally crack Fluffy under the weight of attrition, while others insisted Hernandez's relentless, body-locking grappling would drag the former champion into deep water and drown him there. But beneath every breakdown, every statistic, lingered a question no one could answer: who was hiding the sharper blade? This fight stopped being a date on the calendar and started feeling like a reckoning. Not just another contest, not just rankings and paydays. It became a proving ground where reputations would either harden into legacy or splinter under the lights, and everyone watching knew that once the cage door shut, there would be no easy way back.
Champ, Sean Strickland!
Now when Sean Strickland sat down and dissected Anthony Hernandez's resume, he didn't just see the obvious trail of dominance that had everyone else nodding in agreement. He saw cracks hidden between the lines. To the public, it looked like Fluffy had been steamrolling grown men, suffocating them until they wilted. And yes, that part was real. But Strickland wasn't studying highlights, he was studying circumstances. And that's where things got uncomfortable. Because beneath the glossy headlines and viral clips, he believed there were quiet details no one wanted to talk about. Opponents who stepped into the cage already compromised, carrying injuries they never disclosed. Camps derailed by chaos weeks before fight night. Fighters who made the walk at something less than whole, drained, fractured, surviving rather than thriving. The crowd saw domination, Strickland saw variables. When Hernandez wrapped someone up and drowned them under that relentless grappling pressure, fans gasped like they were witnessing something supernatural. Strickland didn't. He watched with a measured stare, almost detached, because in his mind he wasn't just evaluating what happened, he was questioning why it happened. And that difference changed everything. While the world built a myth around Hernandez's suffocating rise, Strickland quietly constructed a counter-narrative, one that suggested those victories might not tell the full story. He wasn't dismissing them outright, he was reframing them. Through his lens, the aura looked a little thinner, the inevitability a little shakier, and the legend just human enough to test.
How do you know that about this guy? Like, when do you know that about a fight?
I mean, that's how he's made his career, just like laying on guys. You know, but it's hard. Like, he fought Roman Dolidze. Mm-hmm. And I mean, Roman Dolidze did his camp for us. He had his, like, again, talk about injuries. He hurt his back. He didn't even train really at all that fight camp. So, like, you know, Fluffy goes in there and mauls him, and everyone's like me, has been in with Roman Dolidze for 10 weeks. I'm like, this guy didn't train at all. Like, he couldn't. His back was. But, you know, Roman had the idea that I'm just going to go in there, I got good jiu-jitsu, and I'm going to armbar somebody, and then lights come on, it doesn't happen. Yeah. So there is, like, it's kind of weird from insight, from knowing guys he fought, like Roman, where you're like, well, I know you felt like I know you felt like a badass, but like you should have seen what we've seen for the last 8 weeks. You would have been like...
For Sean Strickland, the idea of surviving savage 4th and 5th rounds was never a nightmare waiting in the shadows. It was familiarity. It was rhythm. Those late fight stretches where lungs burn and legs turn unreliable. That was the only tempo he truly trusted. 5-round wars weren't special occasions. They were routine, the baseline expectation for someone wired the way he was. But preparing for Anthony Hernandez twisted that comfort into something sharper. Even Strickland admitted it without hesitation. Hernandez didn't operate on a normal scale. His pace felt mechanical, almost unnatural, like something programmed to ignore fatigue. You couldn't just mimic that in an ordinary gym with ordinary rounds. So Strickland escalated. He flooded his own preparation with chaos, cycling through waves of fresh training partners, each one stepping in at full speed while he refused to dial back. He pushed until they cracked, until bodies slumped to their mat gasping, and then he started again with someone new, denying himself even a flicker of mercy. It wasn't about matching Hernandez's pressure, it was about breaking the idea of it before fight night ever arrived. And if the bout drifted into those suffocating, lightless championship rounds where doubt usually creeps in and men quietly unravel, Strickland wasn't planning to survive them. He was waiting for them, because in that slow, grinding chaos, where everything becomes painfully honest, that's where he felt centered. That's where the noise fades. That's where he believed something would finally give, and he was certain it wouldn't be him.
That was a layup.
You still, how do you feel about going into those 4th and 5th rounds knowing that it's going to be miserable? You welcome that, or you just like,
yeah,
I'll do it, I have to do it?
Yeah,
but like,
I mean, I don't know anything else in 5 rounds. Like, you just train for that, you know? Like, you just, I mean, we did 5 rounds in here. I mean, you've seen 5 rounds in here, and then... Generally, I tried. You're like Flevy's a hard guy to train for because there's nobody that really fights like him, you know, that like has that pace. So a lot of my training is like my wrestling rounds are outside of sparring. I'll go and I'll get guys. But I mean, you see me spar today, you know, you just like go with a guy until it becomes a dead.
Now, while Sean Strickland may have believed the suffering of those suffocating late rounds would eventually tilt in his favor, Anthony Hernandez was staring at something far less immediate and far more calculated. To him, this wasn't a desperate, do-or-die spotlight demanding perfection. It wasn't a fragile, once-in-a-lifetime gamble balanced on a single night. It was a step, just one more deliberate stride in a climb he had already mapped out long before the cameras turned his way. The noise didn't move him. The headlines didn't rush him. He didn't sort fights by hype or trending clips. He sorted them by distance, how far each one carried him toward the only destination that mattered. The championship belt wasn't a dream he chased emotionally. It was a fixed point, a North Star that never shifted no matter who stood across the cage. If defeating Strickland placed him directly at the edge of a title shot, he would take it without blinking. If it left another obstacle or two looming ahead, he would dismantle those as well, one by one, without complaint. His mindset didn't spike with opportunity, and it didn't dip with delay. It remained locked, steady, almost cold. Hernandez wasn't searching for a shortcut through the mountain. He was carving a path straight through it, clearing every name in front of him with the patience of someone who believed the outcome was inevitable. And that quiet certainty might have been the most dangerous weapon of all.
Biggest fight of your entire life?
I think that every fight's as big as you make it, and like, you know what I mean? I'm not where I want to be. I still want to be higher, so I'm still chasing dreams and goals. So like, I don't know. I just look at it like another fight. I'm gonna go out there to prove myself again and try to knock on that door for the title.
Yeah, clearly with every step you take this step forward. Does this fight, Anthony, does this take you to the doorstep of a title fight? Obviously something that you have badly wanted for a long time.
Man, I really hope so. But if not, I mean, there's only 2 more people in front of me to take out. You know what I mean? So, like I said, if I got to take every out, then I will. But, I mean, then there's going to be no one to clear out the division. So, I don't know. I just want the belt. I'll clear that out, and then we go.
Maintaining that same calm yet relentlessly advancing mindset, Anthony Hernandez spoke about Sean Strickland with unmistakable respect, recognizing him for what he truly was, a scarred, battle-hardened former champion who had tested himself against the sports elite and endured the kind of suffocating pressure that breaks lesser men. He didn't dismiss Strickland's resume, didn't pretend those wars hadn't forged something dangerous. He acknowledged the grit, the durability, the nights under blinding lights where Strickland had refused to fold. But here's where the tone shifted. Hernandez wasn't mesmerized by history. He wasn't intimidated by names etched into past scorecards, because in his mind, those victories belonged to a different timeline, a different set of opponents. None of them had come against him, and that single fact changed everything. To Hernandez, this matchup didn't carry over momentum or reputation. It erased it. It was a reset button pressed the moment contracts were signed. A blank slate, a controlled detonation of everything that came before. When he envisioned stepping into the cage, he didn't see a former champion towering over him. He saw a man about to meet a version version of fluffy no one had prepared for. Sharper, less predictable, more layered. The world might have expected a familiar script, but Hernandez was planning to tear it apart in real time. Respect was present, yes. Fear was not. And when the door closed, he intended to prove that whatever Strickland thought he understood about him would expire the second the fight began.
See Sean as an opponent, obviously somebody who has won, massive fights, beaten the best of the best. He's been champion. Where do you see him? I mean, is he washed now? Is he still that same dangerous guy? What's this guy?
No, I think he's tough and he's really good. You know what I mean? He's beaten the fuck out of some great people, like you said, but all those people aren't me, so I'm looking to go in there and show what I can do against them.
Then there was Michael Bisping, who stepped in and peeled back the emotion with cold, unforgiving numbers, exposing the sharp contrast between Sean Strickland and Anthony Hernandez like a blueprint to an impending collision. Strickland, Bisping explained, was a storm of volume and spite, throwing close to 6 strikes per minute, backed by real knockout danger that could change a fight in a blink. The upside was obvious: pressure, pace, punishment. But the floor lingered just beneath it. His accuracy could drift, his defense could open small but exploitable windows, and against the wrong opponent, those gaps weren't theoretical, they were invitations. Hernandez, by contrast, operated like a technician dissecting a problem in real time. He threw less, yes, but he wasted almost nothing. His precision meant he absorbed far fewer clean counters, conserving damage while quietly building control. And then came the statistic that shifted the temperature entirely: 6.5 takedowns per 15 minutes, a suffocating average that towered over Strickland's modest 0.73, hinting at a battleground many fans hadn't fully processed. On paper, it looked like more than just numbers. It looked like a trap forming in plain sight. Because what happens when raw output collides with calculated efficiency? When forward pressure meets a fighter who doesn't need chaos to win. The breakdown didn't just highlight differences, it sharpened them. This wasn't merely striker versus grappler. It was force versus control, volume versus precision, and somewhere inside those metrics, the outcome was hiding.
Now, let's have a look at some of the stats going into this one. The average fight length between the pair of these: Sean Strickland's average fight length, 16 minutes, Alexander Hernandez, 11 minutes 20 seconds. Knockdown average per 15 minutes, 0.24 for Sean Strickland, 0.0 for Alexander Hernandez. So I think that points to the fact that Strickland hits harder. That's fair to say. Strikes landed per minute, Sean's the busier guy, 5.95 to 4.53 per minute for Hernandez. The striking accuracy: Hernandez is way more accurate. He lands at a 62.8% clip, whereas Sean Strickland lands 42.5%. Strikes absorbed per minute: Fluffy also has the better defense. He only gets hit 2.53 times per minute, where Strickland takes 4.57 shots. Striking defense 60% to 49% on Hernandez, and the striking differential plus 138 for Sean Strickland and plus 2.0. Now when it comes to the grappling, the takedown average per 15 minutes, 6.5 takedowns in a 15-minute fight.
Now the deeper numbers started whispering something even more unsettling. Sean Strickland averaged 16 minutes of cage time, while Anthony Hernandez typically clocked in at 11 minutes and 20 seconds, a subtle hint at who was more accustomed to drawn-out tension. Knockdowns per 15 minutes, 0.24 for Strickland, a clean 0.0 for Hernandez, suggesting the heavier hands likely belonged to Sean. Strikes landed per minute tilted his way too, 5.95 to 4.53, confirming he was the busier presence. But then the numbers twisted. Hernandez landed at a razor-sharp 62.8% accuracy, dwarfing Strickland's 42.5%. He absorbed only 2.53 strikes per minute compared to Sean's for 0.57. Striking defense favored Hernandez as well, 60% to 49%, and while Strickland's striking differential sat at a massive plus 138 overall, Hernandez's efficiency painted a quieter plus 2.0 per minute edge. Then came the grappling layers. Hernandez attempted a suffocating 6.5 takedowns per 15 minutes, yet completed them at 48%, solid, not overwhelming. Strickland, surprisingly, finished his fewer attempts at a sharp 64%. Even more telling was his 76.2% takedown defense, higher than Hernandez's 68.2%, hinting at resistance many overlooked. Submission attempts widened the stylistic divide, 1.8 per 15 for Hernandez, hunting constantly, versus just 0.16 for Strickland. Not passivity, but control. Because when fights hit the mat, Strickland didn't chase submissions. He erased them them, neutralized threats, and dragged opponents into grinding stalemates. On paper, it looked balanced. In reality, it felt like a collision waiting to expose which numbers truly mattered.
Well, Sean Strickland, 0.73. The takedown accuracy, though, of Fluffy is only 48%. When Sean goes for a takedown, he's way more successful. He gets a takedown 64% of the time. That's because Fluffy goes for so many takedowns. The takedown defense, Sean is better there. He's got 76.2%, whereas 68.2% on the side of Fluffy Hernandez. And then finally, submission attempts throughout a 15-minute period, 1.8 for Fluffy. I thought that would have been higher. It certainly looks like it, and Sean Strickland...
Now those carefully dissected grappling stats suddenly carried a different, almost ominous gravity when a strange story drifted out of Khamzat Chimaev's notoriously intense camp. The rumor spread fast. A 21-year-old training partner had reportedly slipped under Sean Strickland's guard and locked in a rear-naked choke during preparations for Anthony Hernandez. No cameras, no official confirmation, just whispers echoing from behind closed gym doors. But if there was even a fragment of truth to it, the implications were heavy, because numbers can outline tendencies, they can highlight averages, but they can't always expose the exact moment a crack appears. A rear-naked choke in camp doesn't show up on stat sheets. It doesn't adjust takedown defense percentages, yet it lingers in the imagination. If Strickland, with his 76.2% takedown defense and reputation for shutting down ground threats, had truly been caught by a young teammate, then maybe the armor wasn't seamless after all. For Hernandez, that wouldn't be gossip, it would be confirmation. A subtle but potent reminder that even hardened former champions are human when the scramble gets tight and the grip sinks deep. And psychologically, that kind of rumor can shift energy before a single punch is thrown. It hints at vulnerability. It plants belief. If Hernandez stepped into the cage thinking there was a choke to be found, a sequence to exploit, that confidence alone could tilt the opening exchanges. Because sometimes the most dangerous advantage isn't physical, it's the suspicion that your opponent can bleed.